Hello. Good morning, my family, my peeps, my soul tribe, my friends, the cows. Moo. They're out here wandering around. Yay. So welcome back to the Sunrise Frontline. A little cloudy, but it's looking good, and we'll see when that sun pops up if we get any glimpses there through the clouds. So where we armor up with troops, sip on some grit, and ground ourselves in what's eternal before the world tries to sell us what's temporary. So today's episode is brought to you by the letter F for faith, the kind you can't fake, and by the number 11, the number of transition and awakening. I'm not doing a song today because I just wasn't finding a good one. I wasn't feeling it. So today, calling this faith alone, flesh to fire to faith. So, I was after yesterday, I kind of, went on a rant. I wasn't using my discernment or thinking, allowing the Spirit, using the principles that I've been talking about, that I am learning. And so, sometimes I still get caught up in Richard mode, and, I get a little selfish and not practical. And I talk before I speak. So, but I've been thinking here, and man, this faith is pretty hardcore. I'm not sure how to approach this. I wrote a poem, and then I wrote an intro and some logic. But, so maybe we'll start with the poem. Faith alone, battle cry. Faith alone sounds clean on paper, but out here it's war. You drop the crutches, burn the paper, and march blind into the fight, 'cause the commander has already called the win. No proof in your pocket, no parachute on your pack, just the steel in your spirit and the word in your grip. He's the map, he's the mission, he's the move, and if you're waiting for a sign, you already missed the call. So strap in, truth warrior, we ain't walking by sight today. Which, man, this is some hardcore stuff. Like, you don't really realize it sometimes when you're saying it, because it's so easy to say things. But like once you start trying to live these principles and you start looking into these principles, like it's pretty hardcore, man. Like faith on its own is like just what like thinking of what that entails, like giving mind, body, soul, giving it all to God, and the faith behind that, regardless of your situation or your woe me and all that, malarkey. But it's like the commitment that I'm really making here is, total trust in God with no proof, no signs, no extra confirmations. Like, it's just insanity, man. Like, well, I say that, but it's a big step is what I should be saying. And, I've been thinking on this and praying on it, and I'm probably going to have to revisit this down the road because I feel like I'm still missing some things here, but I felt like this was an important topic, and I wanted to touch it. And You know, aligning my intentions with God's will, not just personal desire, and then having faith that God has it all figured out and trusting that. And that means like no plan B, no, no backup. I mean, I'm still going to be me in life because I'm that person and I'm going to prep and do my things. But spiritually, I'm talking here. And, I still have to use my discernment and make sure I'm not being fooled into things. But those are all tools. But it's the base principle of faith alone. Faith and faith alone. It's crazy, man. So, faith and faith alone, right? It sounds clean, but when you start living it, the edges get messy. And I've been talking about moving from flesh to fire to faith, shedding the old tools that were more about control than trust for me. And that meant putting down the tarot cards, the stones, and things people either praise or demonize. And the truth is, I feel like they're just objects. So the danger isn't in the object, it's in what you believe about it, your intent, and what you're doing with them. It's like a gun. A pew-pew, I don't want, or whatever, because apparently YouTube censors are. But a pew-pew, right? And it's just a tool. It's how you use it. It's what you do with it. It's a neutral thing. I can use it for good or evil. But that's up to me how to use it. Same, anything. A fork, a wrench. They're all tools, and it's how you use them that dictates what they're used for and your intent behind it. So the truth, they're just objects. The danger isn't in the object, it is what you believe about it and your intent behind it. And here's the tension I have to face. If I truly have faith, then why did I feel like I needed one last check before letting them go? Was that faith, or was that a polite way of saying I didn't trust God fully yet, right? Or am I pushing the boundaries? And I even said that yesterday. Like, I was like, man, why am I... The small print of faith. And here's the part they don't tell you on the billboard. Faith alone means surrendering control, letting go of self-reliance, walking forward without proof in your hands, trusting someone you can't see, someone who in your mind has put you through a few ringers or maybe just let you walk into them yourselves. And free will is a thing. And so I don't necessarily think God put me through the ringers. I think that was Richard ran riot, right? Like I was running my own life, doing my own thing, and I had to pay those consequences because they were choices I made. And there are some, I'm sure, God puts me through trials. He's got to put me through the fire to make sure, I got the steel, I got the metal, I'm worthy, that I can stand up to what's coming my way. So yeah, there is some training and stuff like that, right? Preparation. And so it means giving God credit for the good while wrestling with the fact that he allowed the bad. And not because he's cruel, but because he's not done shaping me. And like I said, and I'm putting I make choices, I get to pay my consequences. Because I wasn't living in God or through God. I was living through Richard's way. So some trials are self-inflicted, some are the fallout of living in a broken world, and some are mercy in disguise, refining me, pruning away that which would destroy me if it stayed. So faith isn't just a feel-good word, it's gritty, it's costly commitment to trust God's character when the circumstance makes zero sense. And I mean, in a way it makes sense, but logically, spiritually, it could make sense, right? Logically, I mean, you'd think I'm crazy. I mean, you'd think anybody doing this is crazy. But the proof is I see where I'm at. I see where I've came from. And that was with little faith. And even now I'm growing into it, and the things I've received, the signs, the messages, it also almost seems I'd be crazy not to have faith in this amazing God, this creator of all of the universe. So, like I said, I'm going to have to revisit this. This is still kind of choppy because I didn't have a whole lot of time. This was a newer concept yesterday, and I'm trying to practice Sabbath, which that's another thing, like, in its own, where, you know, it's supposed to be a gift from God, but then with all these rules we put on it, it seems like a burden, and, you know, so I'm new to this, and I'm figuring it out. And it will be a journey. And thanks for being here on my journey. So some bullet points I had was, so faith alone is the foundation. Total trust in God without requiring proof, signs, or extra confirmation. My tools like prayer, worship, structure, fasting, or even incense aren't substitutes for faith, they're expressions of it. So the difference between a tool that expresses faith and a tool that replaces faith is in my frequency, in my intent, in what I'm trying to do with it, my heart posture. And that's another topic that we're going to have to cover, but the heart can be evil too, because the other day when I said listening to your heart and what does that even mean, and that was a good topic, but I'm going to have to revisit a lot of these down the road because I am an infant here and I'm learning. And these are pretty deep subjects, and I might not be giving them the depth that they deserve. But again, you know, it's like an onion. They're layered. And I think even that's true even with the Bible. So yeah, if I'm using prayer to talk to God because I already believe He's there and listening, that's expressing my faith. But if I'm using tarots and runes to get answers rather than going to God, that's replacing God. And so there is a distinct difference there in how you're using the tools. And I could still use those tools to communicate with God, but there's a better way that's not as risky. Like we already went over this, right? So I'm not using them anymore. And so this was kind of a metaphor I liked. So faith is the engine, right? Prayer, meditation, incense are the gas pedal. So, but if the car doesn't have an engine pushing the pedal, you ain't going to do nothing but burn fumes, right? Well, even then, you can't even burn fumes because you ain't got nothing to ignite them. So you just be leaking gas. And so I'm new to this. These are my initial thoughts. We'll have to revisit faith down the road as my walk deepens. And tools are tools. The object itself isn't inherently holy or evil. It's how we intend and use it. The real factor is a person's intent, desire, and implementation of the tool. And so we always need to use our discernment. We need to pray before acting, seek God's perspective, align intentions with God's will, not just personal desires. Love one another. As Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. And if your action doesn't reflect love, check it. And I get there's a time and a place sometimes we have to defend ourselves or are we not having faith again, you know? Like, do I just got to give it to God and walk into the lion's den? It's hardcore, man. I'm serious. This is no joke. And, you know, put everything through the truth of God's word. If it can't hold up to the fire, it probably doesn't belong in my walk. So put it through the fire. See if it stands, just like God puts me through the fire. And so today we're not just talking about faith, we're digging into the gray zone a little bit, where the tools become crutches, where comforts become compromised, and where backup plans reveal cracks in our trust. And I'm going to walk it through open eyes, because on the other side of the gray is where faith burns brightest. And yeah, it's starting to set in how serious this really is, you know? Like, he ain't playing games here. You know what I'm saying? Stuff's getting real. It's like I said the other day, our eternal soul is on the line. Oh, man. It's time to wake up. It's time to get real. But it's a big step too, man. And I'm glad. I got to give myself grace, and I'm glad God does too, because I'm an imperfect human. And I'm going to struggle. But I'm giving it my best effort. And I'm trying real hard. And I'm going to keep trying. I'm not giving up. It's not how many times we get knocked down. It's how many times we stand back up. And God knows my heart. He knows my intent. All right, so let's get into the show for the day. So today our Bible verse and reflection, Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So faith is not passive wishing, it's active assurance. It's betting the farm on God's promise without hedging your bets somewhere else. And I'm lucky I'm on this journey alone right now, because I can't handle another person. I got to get my foundations built. And I already got people trying to rely on me, and I'm not sure I can do it yet. They're going to have to bid their time, just like I bid mine. And maybe they don't agree with that, but they have their own journey, and I do what I can, but I'm just not there yet. Our warrior wisdom and reflection. You can't fight with one hand on the sword and the other holding a parachute. But in God's war, you don't even need the parachute. And I'm not sure who said that quote either, but I like it. I couldn't find the author of it. So in human war, a plan B is smart because you can't predict every enemy move. But in God's war, he already knows every enemy move before they make it. There's no scenario he hasn't already seen. That's why faith means fighting with both hands free and trusting your commander's perfect battle plan. And it's crazy to think, though, because of the free will aspect. And how does he calculate for the free will? And so did he really plan on already flooding the planet because he knew everyone was going to just become inherently evil? And then why did he allow it in the first place? And it's because he loved us so much. He doesn't want slaves. He wants people following him of free will. And so he gave us that choice. And he gave us a choice to follow Jesus, our salvation, to find redemption. And maybe not in this lifetime, but we're talking eternally here. And so, life is pain sometimes. It's suffering. But maybe I found, too, that that's also a sign I'm not truly giving it over to God. I'm still trying to run things my way. And so I need to be refined in the fire more. I mean, it's because since I've started trying to turn it over, some of that pain has went away. The hollowness has been filled a little. Like I don't feel empty inside like I was. So I don't know, but that's just my experience. Each their own. I'm not trying to argue with people, or I'm just sharing my journey here. Just for today, for our sobriety warriors, just for today, I will place my trust in God instead of my cravings, fears, or control. Addiction is often about keeping something in your pocket to reach for when you feel shaky. Faith is learning to keep your hands empty so God can fill them. And I'm going to start doing my daily reflection. I forgot to grab it this morning, but I'm going to work on remembering that, and we'll go over that too. So our inspirational quote and reflection: faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. And that's a Martin Luther King Jr. quote. God bless you, Martin. Amazing man. God doesn't owe you the map. He promises the destination. You just walk step by step, knowing he built the staircase. And that step by step, even through the hard parts, man. It's not always just going to be easy. And when it is hard, I can't fall into the victim. I got to remain the victor. and keep that mentality. What is the lesson I need to learn? Not like, oh, poor me, I'm going to go eat worms. No, what is the lesson that God is trying to teach me here? Why am I being refined through this fire? Because it's easy to fall into the misery, into the poor me mentality. And not that I've ever really been that way, and I have my moments. Again, I'm not perfect, but it's an easy trap. So our reflection question for the day: where in my life am I still keeping a backup plan because I'm afraid to trust God completely? And maybe that's my my prep and my all that, but I think, that's just at the same time, like, okay, and there's also, I think maybe that is part of God's plan too. So I have to take that into evaluation. Am I doing that because the Spirit is telling me to, because God's telling me to, or am I doing it because Richard's telling me to? And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it also could be showing a lack of my faith. And so I have to, it goes back to my bullet points. Am I in tune with the Spirit? Am I listening to the Spirit? So yeah, there was a reflection. Our challenge: pick one area where you've been holding on to a just in case. Give it to God today. No safety net, no parachute. I know, and it sounds crazy jumping out of a plane with a parachute, right? And then maybe that's not the best metaphor, but it's a spiritual plane and it's a spiritual parachute. And really, right? Who needs a parachute when you got wings anyways? God will give you wings. It's amazing, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Once blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. Yeah, I just felt that. Come on. No safety net, no parachute. Who needs a parachute when you got wings? I like that one. It came to me. All right, so our knowledge nugget: the mustard seed. The one Jesus used in Matthew 17:20 is only 1 to 2 millimeters in size, but can grow into a plant over 9 feet tall. That's faith. Small in my hand, huge in my life when planted. So I'm planting those mustard seeds. And I'm stepping into it. And it's a big step. And the realization's hitting me. And that's part of that. That's a step. That's part of it. Is realizing what I'm actually reading the small print. You don't want to pull the Willy Wonka. You want to read the small print. And the Spirit's putting it in front of me like, all right, bud, this is what you're signing up for, homie. Like, you sure? You sure? Like, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm working it. I'm getting there. But man, it is a lot. All right, our prep tip of the day. Rotate your stored food every 6 months to keep it fresh. And rotation is important. Don't forget about it. Our word of the day: assurance. A strong confidence or certainty. Noun. Assurance. A strong confidence or certainty. So sentence: her assurance in God's promise gave her peace in the storm. Oh man, that was another good one I heard yesterday. I didn't hear it yesterday, but it came to my focus yesterday, and I'd known it. But serenity isn't freedom from the storm, but it's finding peace in the storm. And man, that resonates with me every time I hear it. It just lights my spirit on fire. And that's like my man Matt, I was talking to him, and that's like he said, is if my serenity is in my garden and the cows come and eat it, do I really have any serenity? And that's so serenity is not freedom from the storm, it's finding peace in the storm. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thank you, Matt, for you got me started here, It's weird, just the littlest things people say and the ripple effect they can have, And I can't take credit for it anyways. It's God, the Spirit, and what they bring into my life and where they lead me. It's amazing sometimes. I can't see the end, but sometimes when I get a chapter into and I look back, it's already amazing, you know what I mean? And it's just reinforcing my faith more. So, faith without assurance is just wishful thinking. True faith rests in God's track record, not my backup plan. And I got to get going here before I run out of... I'm going to have to get a bigger memory card here. Garden tip of the day. Ooh, harvest herbs in the morning for peak flavor. Yeah, get it. And then our trivia of the day. What is the smallest book in the Bible by word count? And apparently that's 3 John. I'm going to have to read that because not really aware of that. So this day in history, August 10th, 1846, the Smithsonian Institution established, founded with a gift from British scientist James Smithson. Hey, thank you, James. The Smithsonian is now the largest museum and research complex in the world. Its mission for the increase in diffusion of knowledge. It holds over 154 million objects from the Wright brothers plane to moon rocks. That's pretty impressive. And not that we're worshiping in knowledge, but I think knowing history is important so we don't repeat it. And having wisdom is important, but we don't want to worship it. And that wisdom should come from the Spirit, from God, right? All right, 1948, August 10th, Candid Camera makes its TV debut. Alan Funt's hints camera shows become an instant hit, catching people in funny, unscripted moments. It shows how ordinary people react when life throws them something unexpected. Kind of like a faith test, minus the eternal stakes. Woo! All right. 1990, August 10th, Magellan, the space satellite. Magellan begins mapping Venus. NASA's Magellan spacecraft uses radar to pierce Venus's thick atmosphere, revealing mountains, volcanoes, and massive lava flows. It gave humanity its first detailed look into one of our solar system's mysterious neighbors. All right, our joke of the day. Why did Noah have to punish the chickens? Because they were using foul language. All right, and this was another funny one. I know they're Bible jokes, but I still enjoyed it. So, what kind of man was Boaz before he got married? Ruthless, right? Because he married Ruth. No, horrible. I know, it's about to kill. It cracks me up, man. I can't. All right. Back to grounding here. All right, so a little bit of closing reflection here on my faith. Faith alone means no backup plan. Not because we're reckless, but because I know the planner has already factored in every move, every need, and every attack. It's walking forward. And so maybe, my preps are a part of his plan too. So, again, be aware. Let's not be ignorant. Let's give it to God. Let's study in the Spirit. Use our discernment and pray on it, meditate, think about it. And let's not just be rational and irrational and quick and foolhardy, right? So it's walking forward even when we can't see the road, because I trust the one who built it. And yeah, prayer, worship, fasting, they're gas pedals, not engines. The real power is in the trust that fuels them. When God's the engine, you don't just burn fumes, you move mountains. So, my closing prayer. Father, strip away my backup plans, my safety nets. Okay, we got cut off there. So I don't know if I made it through my prayer, but so I want to stress though, if we are, make sure the message is coming from God, not you and not the devil, not the evil of this world. However, whatever form that takes. But make sure it is godly, because like I said, if my preps are part of God's plan, I don't want to go throwing them out. So it's a fine line there. You know, like I'm not just going to throw the spare tire out of my car because I'm like, I got faith, right? Because it's, well, first of all, it's already there. And, you know, maybe that's the way God had the manufacturers design it, so we had a spare. But at the same time, like, I want to keep my faith real. So, again, we're going to have to revisit this because I'm barely scratching the surface on this topic. So we're going to say my closing prayer again because I'm not sure if it cut me off, and it's not going to hurt anything anyways. So, Father, okay, hold on. Deep breath here. Get grounded, get centered. Father, strip away my backup plans, my safety nets, and my false securities, if they not are from you, if they're not of the Spirit. Replace them with unshakable trust in you. Let my tools be expressions of faith, not replacements for it. And remind me that your plan has already accounted for every battle I'll face. Amen. In Jesus' name. Salvation. And okay, my mantra for the day: no safety net, no backup plan. God is my source, my shield, and my victory. All right, I feel like that was a good one. It was pretty long again, I know, but I have a feeling this is going to be the standard because it is what it is, and I'll still have my 15-minute days, but these are deep topics, and sometimes and I'm still not giving them the depth they deserve. Again, and I'm repeating myself, I know, but I want to get this through. Is I'm an infant here in this stage, and I'm learning, and I'll take feedback if anyone's got any, and I won't take offense to it. I will take what I can use and leave the rest. I'll take what God, and so please don't be afraid to leave me some comments. I appreciate Dana for leaving me stuff. And you know, like, and let's get real here. Like, I know I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to get hostile towards people for sharing their opinions, and it may help me grow, and it may be something I need to hear. So, please feel free to leave some comments, or text me if you don't want to leave it in the thing, or email me, and I'll get an email that people can email me at and stuff. And like and share and subscribe if it's done anything for you. Maybe we can grow this, and maybe other people need to hear this too, and maybe this will get other people to start on their journey. And I know this is just my journey, but it's about saving as many people as we can along the way too, bringing them with us. The more the merrier. And so, God bless. Be the change you want to see. Let your light shine. Oh, what am I missing? So I'm trying to get these memorized. Let your light shine. Much love. I'm missing one here. Well, peace out. We'll get it tomorrow. Always get another chance. All right, much love. Peace out. Have an amazing day. You're an amazing person.